first kaiju war, the world was forced to build super machines to save ourselves. In the 10 years since that victory, humanity's greatest creation, the Jaeger, has become faster, sleeker, more agile, and much more powerful against our common enemy. These next-gen Mark VI Jaegers use maglev systems and hologram technology to move in ways their predecessors couldn't. Here, we'll provide insight into what makes this new fleet the pinnacle of human invention. Welcome to the Hall of Heroes. Gypsy Avenger, the iconic successor to Gypsy Danger, and a Jaeger that truly honors the heroic legacy of her namesake. She is the flagship leader of the entire fleet and a symbol of hope to billions. Gypsy's been upgraded with sprint speed, agility, a nuke-powered vortex, twin turbines which could power Chicago for a year. She wields a gravity sling that can grab parts of buildings and hurl them at the enemy. She also has a plasma cannon and a forearm chainsaw for intense hand-to-claw combat. As far as Jaegers go, Gypsy is the best. Bracer Phoenix is an upgraded active Mark V Jaeger. It's a 3-pilot rig that is considered the linebacker of the fleet. Bracer's centrifugal vortex cannon is spectacular and lethal. The gunner pod drops into the belly of the beast to blast kaiju to bits, leaving shell casings the size of cars in the wake. Bracer's anti-kaiju missile launchers are a solid second line of defense. Designed for fierce combat at range, Guardian Bravo is a Mark VI Jaeger and slings an arc whip. Bravo has 2 burst foils above her shoulders. Her legs come equipped with prototype sprint capacitors for velocity. The Jaeger also has a Defiant 13 shin mount for protection in up-close combat situations. Saber Athena is the sleekest and the most advanced mech in the fleet. She carries back-mounted twin swords that can combine to form an epic broadsword for hyper-acrobatic combat. She is also tricked out with super metal body armor and a particle charger built into her hand. Her accelerator limbs gives her the agility to take on even the fastest of kaiju. She is the most elegant Jaeger ever created by the PPDC. All Mark VI Jaegers use newer lightweight reinforced steel, armored material, and super strength carbon fiber materials wherever possible. They have over 30,000 pounds of force in each punch, kick, or headbutt. Human innovation is still mankind's greatest hope to save our planet from our worst common enemy. These Jaegers are our answers to the kaiju threat. They get the job done. It's been 10 years since we won the war and closed the breach. And the world is still picking up the pieces. It was interesting to see where Pacific Rim could go after the first film.
And action! We decided that it was going to be 10 years after. And since all the Jaegers were destroyed in the first movie, we had a chance to rebuild the Jaeger program from the ground up.
PPDC, they have like a board meeting and said, we need upgrades, we need new pilots, we need them younger. The advances that we have, the new Jaegers, the new characters are warranted and only warranted by the first movie. There is a seamless connection between the two.
This is our time. This is our chance to make a difference.
I really wanted to preserve the spirit of the first movie, that you have humanity coming together to fight a common enemy. That's one of the things that really appealed to me when approached with the thought of a sequel. It really is a coming together of the world and putting differences aside, which is something I think Guillermo did in the first movie as well. I love the fact that it is inherently an international cast. We really wanted to honor that spirit.
When I first read the script, I thought it was very accurate and paid homage to the old, but continued with a new story.
In the first movie, the PBDC started off very popular. And then it kind of fell out of favor. The politicians wanted to instead build a wall. For me, after the Jaegers proved that they were the best last defense, people would understand, well, they just saved the planet. Maybe we ought to invest in the Jaegers instead of the wall. We really wanted to just push the idea of Jaegers forward. Humanity's had 10 years to redesign the Jaegers and prepare for another attack, if it comes. In the first movie, you saw the early generation and some mid-generation, and these are the advanced generation of Jaegers. The precursors, which are the aliens in the other dimension, they've also had 10 years to think about their mistakes and what happened.
Precursors.
So they have upgraded their kaiju as well. Shaw Industries is an advanced tech firm that is pushing a new drone Jaeger technology.
This means that a single pilot can operate a drone via remote link
from anywhere in the world.
This will make the world safer because you don't have to worry about pilots being drift compatible anymore. You don't have to worry about their brains being overloaded in battle. And you don't have to worry about the time it takes to deploy them because the idea is to have drones everywhere around the Pacific Rim.
And action!
Initiate a neural handshake.
I definitely wanted to keep the idea of drifting, which I thought was a fantastic concept from the first movie. You have to mind meld with another person, and not everybody is drift compatible. You've got to be simpatico.
Neural handshake, strong and steady.
We wanted to keep that alive in this movie and push that mythology further.
Stand!
10 years since the war has ended. There's a training program. He's in charge of instructing the cadets and setting the course so he can groom young pilots.
When I first joined the Corps, I was just like you. The minute you enter this program, you join a family.
He's trying to train these young kids to one day take over.
As you were.
As you get older, you start putting up walls, and it's harder to bond with other people. But when you're young, you make friends faster, it's easier, and the idea is that you will have more pilots that connect with each other instead of just these two are simpatico.
3, 2, 1, salute!
The fantastic thing about the first movie is that it gave us a fantastic foundation to build upon and gave us an opportunity to expand the ideas that Del Toro had and to use it as a base point to create new stories, new characters, new sequences. We wouldn't be able to do that without the first movie.
I just wanted to try to honor what Guillermo did in the first movie and push the franchise and the mythology forward.
And cut!
10 years after the war, most of the world has recovered, but there are some coastal cities that never did. There's still relief zones. In these zones are people who were economically disadvantaged, couldn't afford to move, or prefer to be there because it's a little bit of the Wild West in these zones, where if you're creative, you can make a buck. And part of that creativity is stealing Jaeger parts and selling them on or in the black market.
Let's get rich.
Team up.
And action!
So we meet him at the beginning of the story where he's just a mere Jaeger part stealer and kind of a crook.
He has a talent because he knows Jaegers. He used to be a cadet, so he knows what to look for.
I think he's battled with living up to his father's name in moments where he has been stealing Jaeger parts and getting cash that it doesn't necessarily belong to him.
He kind of has a history of double-crossing people.
We cheated Barada and Juarez, skipped down on Chow in Hong Kong.
That was a misunderstanding.
And stole from me.
He uses the money from these slightly illegal activities to throw parties, buy the things that he wants.
Jake meets Amara on one of these sophisticated jobs, and a mysterious figure steals the part that he's going for, and he follows her.
We find Amara living on the streets in her own abandoned building in Santa Monica for about 3 years now. Amara and Jake encounter each other. Technically, they meet when she's stealing his stuff.
How old are you?
I'm about to kick your ass.
She's determined that she's not going to wait around for a Jaeger to come save her.
Yes. It works!
She has to learn how to trust other people, how to drop her walls and connect.
Hey, get out!
And the first person she really does that with is Jake, who she has a very fiery relationship with at first.
You compromised my command center.
Oh, your command center?
Yes.
Your command center?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
One of my favorite scenes was where John and I are in the prison cell together.
And I'll just shut down the scene. I'm talking to you, and I'll come back. Yeah, so it just has more.
When we were filming that, we just improv'd whatever came to us.
I don't want to hear what you have to say.
If you just
have
listened,
no
we
idea
wouldn't
what you're
escape.
talking about.
We wouldn't be in this
no
situation.
idea what you were doing.
What are you talking about? Top lip and your bottom lip, they need to meet and become friends.
That's a good one.
Good.
That's always fun when you find another actor that is giving, so giving, and he definitely was.
Conversation done.
Good.
When Jake and Amara shipped over to the Shatterdome in China, they see their similarities and they help each other navigate through an environment that they both don't understand.
Ranger on deck! Cadets, this is Amara and Amani.
The biggest thing for both of them that's a challenge is working together with other people. They don't know how to do that.
You know, when I heard you gave November Ajax a run for his money, I thought we might have something here.
Putting her up against kaiju that almost killed veteran pilots doesn't make any sense.
They do not like each other at first, but they come to understand each other and respect each other by the end of the movie.
I told you.
Since when do I listen?
You guys look badass. All right, guys, here we go. And action!
Jake is tasked with taking care of the cadets at the Shatterdome alongside with Lambert.
Marshal on deck!
He's there to put him through the same works he went through before he left, and to just kind of help motivate them to becoming the best they can be.
Bunch of criminals.
You've got Jake and Lambert, and that's one world that's happening, but you've also got this other world of these young teenagers that are also so passionate and driven and want to fight.
This is Amara and Amani. Stand by for assist.
And cut rehearsal.
I just had not run all over.
During the first week, Steven sat us down, table reads down. He was like, I want to give you guys the creative freedom to develop these backstories for yourselves.
Sydney was attacked, and Tahima's family were directly affected by that, and he has a very personal vendetta that he wants to settle with these kaijus.
My character, Beak, she is very tough. She lost both of her parents in the last kaiju attack, and it took her a lot of effort to get into Moylan, and it has become everything she has. Make it a big one. When Amara comes into the group, that's why she becomes so protective of it. Not because she's a bully.
It's perfect hug size.
I'd imagine it like kids who were just being born around 9/11. They grew up in this world of kind of this terror and this fear, but they didn't really understand the gravity of the situation. But for them, they've also been kind of raised to be revved up and on edge and ready to fight at any given moment.
And then we'll do that part next.
We've been spending a lot of time together on and offset, but mostly offset because there's a lot of us that aren't from around here, so we depend on each other in that way.
We got along real quick. Every day was really fun. And it was just like how the cadets were.
We have potlucks together, and we go to karaoke together, and yeah, we just go and have life talks. We're all old souls.
Cadets. Steven, when putting together this project, he made sure this cast was very diverse.
We're all from different places. We all communicate differently and have different languages and accents.
What?
Everyone deserves equal representation. And I think it's so cool because a kid can look up and look at a screen and go, oh my God, they're just like me.
I'm from Ukraine. We have actors from China, Japan, America, and we became quite a family. When we're off set, we always make sure that we're connected.
That's also another thing with this whole cadet family. We're all very positive-minded, and everybody pushes everyone to be better. And that's what family is, isn't it?
Look, it's like one big happy family. Oh,
Just imagine all these kids who love the same thing you do, and we're all the same age, and we're staying in a hotel for 6 months together. I mean, just imagine.
I think it's all started from the training together. We're all like, let's just do it together. And then gradually we just became this family.
That's it.
We train every day together, and that creates a bond too. When you physically have to train with somebody for months on end, you create a bond.
Working out helped immensely doing that. Getting a bunch of young people in a gym together, automatically that just starts to come out.
I remember getting an email from Steven being like, hey guys, since you're cadets, like we could start working out, and you know, we've got a trainer. And I'm panicking inside because like I'm sticks and bones. So I was freaking out.
We had some orders from Steven to build our physiques to a certain level.
How is he doing that? And I'm sure you guys are gonna intercut Naomi, our trainer, working us out because we are drenched in sweat by the end of those.
Did you guys think you're done?
We had about 4 months to prepare with everybody, and we trained every day, weights and cardio.
It's running hard.
We worked on diet as well, which was tricky here or there.
Let's go eat. Yeah.
She would be next to us, spotting us, helping us, preparing us, not physically, but mentally as well, telling us that we're strong, we can do it, there's only a few more left, pushing us to our limits.
Raise your object!
Some of our cadets had a lot of con-pod movements.
You have this arm connected to the back of you that's screwed in, these harnesses that are in front limiting your movements, on top of the costume, which is a scuba suit with a lot of armor on it.
How's it feel? Comfortable?
So the heat all of a sudden kicks in and you kind of get a little claustrophobic.
Sorry, Steven, I can't hear what you're saying.
And then the treadmill starts moving and you got to time everything.
Every time we kick, every time we run, we gotta be synced.
You guys will have to match.
Here we go, camera's going up. And action! 1 and 2 and 3 and 4!
The best way to describe it is like a dance.
Secret sauce at the end. I love it.
I've been watching movies like this since I was 5 years old, so to walk into the actual world and see the detail and feel the actual energy on set is amazing.
Don't watch the extra features first.
We all have this little hero thing inside of us, and we all wanted to be the hero, to fight the monsters, to save the world. So I think it's just very exciting for everybody.
It was like a dream come true to me, being a hero. I think that's every young kid's dream.
We're coming together for a good cause to save the world.
I think I could get used to this.
I have to pinch myself every time to remind myself that I'm here to do a job, you know? Because it doesn't feel like a job. It just feels amazing when you walk on set.
It's been magical for me, and I'll never forget it. So thank you.
Everybody get out of my lab! Boomerang Kai-Chan, right? That means a bullet in your face. I will shoot you. You are officially fired.
Now, what do we do? How do we stop this?
We are going in through the back door.
To what?
The drone subroutine.
Sneaky bastard.
All right, what do you want to know? I played Dr. Newton Geisler. They call him Newt. In the first movie, he's the foremost expert on the kaijus. Right. And he's able to figure out a way we can drift with the kaiju brains.
And then he has continued to drift with a kaiju brain.
The drifting is affecting him mentally, and he's making some bad decisions.
What did you just do?
I'm ending the world. It was exciting for me to see the switch in the character, to get to play something different as an actor. It made sense to me that this happens because his mind is the most compromised. Newt has been drifting the entire time between the first film and the second with the kaiju brain. How was your day? He seems to be in love with it.
He's got his own little kaiju brain called Alice that he keeps in his bedroom. It's like a drug, and he's addicted. The precursors have got their claws into his mind and are making him do this.
And he's now sort of losing his grasp between his own sort of control over himself and the kaiju's control over him. So he's able to be manipulated into doing some pretty bad things.
Why would you do this?
I wouldn't. Or maybe I would. My favorite scene was the biggest challenge, was the scene in which we see Newt switch. I don't know, maybe he hates all of you for treating... Sorry, maybe I hate all of you. From the Newt that you know, maybe I, to the much more evil Newt being controlled by these precursors. That could be it. I'm not sure. It's not very clear. It was more of a challenging scene to act because of that persona switch. The problem is I'm not feeling 100% myself these days.
Charlie Day, who plays Newt, and Bern Gorman, who play Gottlieb, were an emotional linchpin carrying over from the previous movie. Their relationship really formed a glue that helped hold things together. And I really wanted to explore where these two best friends are 10 years later. And in the first movie, it's a bit of the odd couple. They argue a lot, but you see they really love each other.
One of the reasons that the relationship is more complex in Pacific Rim 2 is because Newt has actually left.
Herman!
I could use your help on an experiment I'm working on. And gone into the private sector, you know, he's making bank.
How about when I'm done, then we'll go to your lab and look at, well, God knows what it is that you're doing. All right, sound good? What is that? All right, who wants to see something cool?
When you first see Newt, he's in a fancy suit. He's very rock and roll, very Hollywood. And you see between the two that Gottlieb feels like he's moved on and left him. He really misses Newt.
I'm sorry, but I gotta roll.
Newton, I still get nightmares. No one knows what it felt like, except us, you and I, together. He hasn't found anyone who sort of matches him through enthusiasm about getting problems solved.
Because I will always have time for you, Herman. Just not a lot of it.
When I first sat down and talked to Bern and Charlie about this, we talked about how it is a love story. You two used to be really close, you've come apart, and now you're trying to figure out how to come back together.
Best friends, enemies, they're competitive with one another, but I think they have a real love for each other.
Help me save the world like old times.
Sorry, technically, you were helping me last time.
What do you say?
Well, I say don't shoot. I think things aren't looking good for Newt and Gottlieb.
All right, guys, cut and gun again.
It's really Gottlieb that keeps Newt from actually being killed. Gottlieb knows that in there somewhere is the human being that he was once.
We've just shot a scene where I get to beat up a few guards with the cane.
Vile individual!
You know, I'm not saying I condone violence or anything like that, but it's great fun.
I'd hug you if I didn't have a rule about public displays of affection. Fine. Okay, all right.
Both Bern Gorman and Charlie Day, the days when they were both on set working together were some of the best days ever. I mean, they were so fun and funny.
The Kumagami front. That's what it is, right? They hacked into the system. This has nothing to do with kaiju rituals.
And they just loved being back in that environment.
Sorry, this was proper.
So another 10 years on, I'm afraid he's let himself go at this point. Like, the haircut's even worse. But maybe he's learned to chill a little bit, you know?
Yeah. No.
He's still working hard, but maybe he's, you know, got some friends.
You know, I think he's flipping burgers in the nut house or something. If he can somehow escape and he can get into the Precursor's world, I think he'd like to be there. I'm on it. I'm on it like a guy that is really on it.
Pictures up, pictures up.
Let's kill some kaiju.
Rolling. Sounds fake. There we go, shooting.
And action! 10 years after the war, the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps, it's an international fighting force coming together. They have rebuilt the Jaeger program from the ground up.
That is Valor Omega.
Now we have Jaegers who are more advanced than the first film. They're more acrobatic.
We have a Jaeger that looks like kind of a badass ninja.
Saber Athena? I love Saber Athena.
What you don't have is different nationality Jaegers. I wanted to make it a world Jaeger fighting force.
It doesn't matter who your parents are, who believed in you and who didn't. We are a family now. Jaeger pilots, do you understand?
Yes, sir!
Now help me save the world.
We were very excited about the upgrade of the Jaegers.
The discussion after Pacific Rim 1 was how do we make these Jaegers more efficient on the battleground?
You don't want to lose the DNA, but we wanted to push the look and the feel. Our conversations would be, well, Pac Rim 1, they were like tanks. So for us, what is it to be like a fighter jet?
The tricky thing with Pacific Rim is you have these giant, 260 feet tall Jaegers. You want to convey the mass and the weight, but you still need them to move fast enough so the action isn't like it's slow motion. It's a very tough balancing act for the visual effects department.
The foot span of Gypsy Avenger is 70 foot alone. So if we have Gypsy Avenger running down a street, that street needs to be at least 4 or 5 lanes wide. So there's a kind of challenge between action and reality.
All Jaegers, advance and fire everything you've got!
The methodology starts with talking to the heads of department, working out just exactly what Stephen's vision is, and then expanding into all the tools available to create the VFX.
We really wanted each Jaeger, if you saw them in a lineup, because of their silhouettes, that you could tell them apart, and then adding color to that and making sure they were distinct.
It was very important for us that we were creating a lineup of individual characters, so to speak.
When designing Gypsy Avenger, the flagship of the fleet, I kept talking about the Starship Enterprise, something just awe-inspiring.
You pilot Gypsy Avenger?
But also make this a much more advanced, sleeker Jaeger.
We started a team of artists out of the Industrial Light and Magic Art Department developing Gypsy.
For a while, it was called Gypsy Danger 2.0, but it's a little hard for a character to say, you know, get to Gypsy 2.0.
Stephen wanted a much more clean look and have the technology evolve.
You've got a new technique that merges the pilot with the enemy through these hologramic based kaiju. And all we did as actors was mime.
And action! John! Plasma cannons now!
Love it.
Okay, you gotta get outside.
I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, so to walk into the actual world and see the detail and feel the actual energy on set is amazing. I mean, you walk into a Jaeger and you're in a Jaeger. You feel like you're there, you're piloting a robot.
Here we go, we're gonna do it first time in the suits. I'm a little nervous for him.
I think it was really challenging because for Levi and I'm like half his size. So like, especially when we're running on the treadmill, like my treadmill has to be slower than his.
Ready, here we go, ready, and action!
Saber Athena, Guardian Bravo coming to assist.
Activating arc whip!
I can't compete with the guy when we're running.
And action! And cut. And cut.
We really sweated over designing these Jaegers.
I think this is a visual effects dream, really. There's a lot of films out there with large monsters, but to have a film that evolves around 270-foot robots, that's amazing to work on and realize.
We really wanted to honor the Jaegers, making them as cool as possible and preserve the spirit of the first movie, but moving the technology forward.
I think I could get used to this.
Good.
Li Wenshao is the founder and owner of Shao Industries, a private company created with the goal of protecting the world. Get it done.
Yeah.
She is a Chinese tech industrialist, a billionaire genius inventor, think an Elon Musk type of person.
Having been the victim of the original kaiju attacks, she has devoted her life to stopping the future attacks.
Shao Industries is pushing a new drone Jaeger technology.
She's incredibly determined, amazingly successful professionally. Socially, she's not as strong and comes off very cold and unfriendly.
She's not great with people, she's better with technology, and she very much believes this will make the world safer because you don't have to worry about pilots being drift compatible anymore. You don't have to worry about their brains being overloaded in battle. Her idea is to have drones everywhere around the Pacific Rim. The question is, does she really believe it, or is she up to something else? What you discover is that the bad guy is her head research scientist, Newton Geisler, who has been infected by the precursors. Unbeknownst to her, there's been a little something special slipped into the design of these drone Jaegers, which is kaiju DNA.
And
action!
Why? Figure out why!
As a production designer, you're working with the director in creating what that environment, what that set, what that tone is for the entire film. The remote con room, I remember just doing a sketch. And so to come and see that set with all those guys hanging from the ceiling was just fun.
The drones become part Jaeger, part kaiju. So what you get is a hybrid kaiju Jaeger. We wanted them to be Jaeger-esque, but definitely convey a very, very advanced kind of feel, because we wanted them to move much more like an animal. Xiao Li Wen, she learns how to interact and work together for the common good instead of just feeling like she has the idea that needs to be done.
Remote systems are online. Sending help.
Steven was a fantastic director. He brought so much energy and passion to set. Being given very clear instruction really allows you to act much better since you know exactly what the director wants. It really made us want to work so hard for him. You could tell how much he cares about the Pacific Rim story and the universe. Li Wen is a very powerful and successful character.
10 years in the future, once you have technology out there, somebody's going to misuse it. So there is a fringe element that cobbles together their own Jaegers. One of those Jaegers we meet early on in the movie is a tiny 40 feet tall Jaeger called Scrapper that Amara, one of our characters, has built herself.
Sell your little toy for a whole lot of money.
Scrapper's not a toy, and she's not for sale.
I actually wanted to get a better idea of how Amara built Scrapper, so I actually talked to the people who built her on paper and all the blueprints and what they wanted to add to Scrapper. For example, she lives in Santa Monica, so she took pieces from the Santa Monica pier, like there's some bumper cars for the foot of Scrapper.
So she's the type of person that really thinks on her feet.
I also got to make a part of Scrapper, so I went and welded a few pieces together, which was really awesome.
It's a little junker that can be run by one pilot because it's so small, and it causes some destruction and trouble in Santa Monica.
Piloting Scrapper was more like a skiing motion that I trained for weeks. It was a very specific movement. My feet were strapped on and they only went in one motion. You're not syncing up with anybody else.
Speed up!
Scrapper is a lot more nimble and has a special feature that she's designed that when she's in a tight spot, she can curl Scrapper into a ball and roll it so it can move a lot faster and it's more maneuverable than the giant Jaegers. And she has a few systems inside Scrapper. Particularly a larger version of Ninja Smoke Bomb she can deploy to confuse her enemy.
Scrapper also embodies Amara. That is her only friend. She's committed her whole life to this Jaeger that has such a personality that mirrors her.
Hakuja. Strike sword. Raijin.
Each of the kaiju have abilities. Haikuja is a kaiju that can burrow underground. Shrikethorn has energized spikes that can throw from its body. And Raijin, which Gottlieb calls the big fellow, has these face plates that close up and it absorbs the attack so he can throw that energy back at the Jaegers. So each of these kaiju have a special ability, and the super secret special ability is we combine the three together into Mega Kaiju. Something we talked about early on is we wanted the final battle in Tokyo to keep escalating. So it wasn't just monster versus mech.
Newt has actually figured out a way to connect the kaijus together. Let's go, all right, go, 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 baby, go!
Newt has developed these things called rippers, which are truck-sized biomechanical monsters. And their sole purpose is to tear apart the three kaiju and stitch them back together into one mega kaiju.
Well, he's pretty big.
Designing the three main kaiju, Haikuja, Shrikethorn, and Raijin, were very tricky. Haikuja came together the quickest, then we eventually got Shrikethorn and Raijin vexed and confused us for a long time before we finally figured out just the right kind of design element and that special power. One of the hugest challenges was Mega Kaiju. You saw elements of the three, but it was a unique creature.
I have a lot of meetings with Stephen. I come from a drawing background, so I ended up storyboarding a lot of the sequences so that then presenting them to him would lead to the previous process.
And cut! We had finished shooting the movie, and we were into the visual effects part, and really formed it and nailed it into a really, really cool creature.
Working with the scale at which we're working, the 400-foot kaiju, there's a lot of films out there with large monsters, but that's amazing to work on and realize.
The moment I saw it, my first reaction was, when do I get a toy of Mega Kaiju? Because it was so cool.
This is a visual effects dream because it involves smashing up a lot of buildings, which visual effects people just love to do.
When I see it with the final effects, the final music, the final color grading, it reminds me why I wanted to do this in the first place, because at the end of the day, I'm just a fan that wants to sit in a movie theater and see giant mechs fight giant monsters.
戻ってこれてすごく光栄に感じます。ずっと最初の作品からまたマコを演じたいなと思っていたのでこうして戻ってこれて光栄です。
It was really important for me to have strong female characters. Mako Mori was a really strong female character in the first Pacific Rim. I don't think I could do a second movie without Mako in it. She's an emotional linchpin of this movie.
She's brave and tough. She's had to struggle with sadness in her past.
Hello, Jake. Here we are again.
Steven brought his vision without changing the Pacific Rim universe.
I'm offering you a way out, Jake. A chance to make things right.
And cut. She offers Jake a choice. You can either go to jail for 20 years, or you can re-enlist.
It was definitely a fantastic scene, which was brilliant to shoot. It's a moment between siblings that reads as a very pivotal part in both characters. One last ride and I can go.
If that's what you want, it's your life.
You don't know you're in a sequel to Pacific Rim. The story does not function like anything you would expect. It's basically kind of a murder mystery. You know, it's a story of who killed Mako at its core.
And action!
今回も前作同様戦闘シーンが大変魅力的な作品になっていると思います。それと今回出ているキャスト、キャラクターの複雑な心境とまた違った方向での魅力的なシーンもたくさんあるので、その辺も皆さんに楽しんで見ていただければなと思います。